Hi guys, good evening everyone. Welcome back. I am Rasdeep, co-founder of AddSkill. We are an educational company with a mission to empower individuals to learn, earn, and grow while we are investing in your success. Just for your information, we have a batch which is starting on the coming Saturday. Welcome back to the sixth episode of the AddSkill Career Talk series community. And also wish you all a very, very happy new year. And this is the first episode of 2021. And in today's episode, we have with us Mr. Anudeep, who is one of the known UX designer in the industry. And I can say that I'm assuming Anudeep. Talking about Anudeep, he has an amazing career so far. He's a graduate from BITS Pilani 2014 batch, and he did his engineering in the field of mechanical, post which he has done a master's in job exploration. And I guess Anudeep will explain it what this is. Where he has worked with 4 different companies over a span of 2 years. I'm assuming it could be more, but I know of 4. And the idea there was to find out the best fit job for himself. And finally, he could figure out the love for UX design. And rest is history. You can find his work on ICICI Bank app, IndusInd Bank app, and SBI Beam, Tabzo, and Hungerbox, to name few of them. He has helped many people to self-learn design and pick UX design as a career option. He loves mentorship and has helped more than 500 plus people so far. I'll probably let Anudeep to add to this introduction before I start with the questionnaires.
Awesome. Yeah, that was pretty much everything what you have kind of found out. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. Definitely, we can talk more about my journey. The first thing I can tell is I'm no different from any one of you here. Just started in a very same manner, with a lot of confusion of what exactly to do with my life, what am I good at, will I be valuable for anyone, what do popular opinions say, what should I like, multiple things. So I can first thing I can tell is I am no different than what you guys are. It's just about having the right people at the right time and right mentorship and right kind of situations which which allow me to come today in front of you and share my experiences. But or else we are not so different. Yeah.
Great. So I think with that, Anudeep, I'd probably start with talking about the journey itself, right? I know you have graduated from mechanical background, and finally, after 5 years, you're doing UX design. Can you take us through that journey in the last 5 years? How are you able to figure out that UX is the thing that you want to do, and what was the process? And is there something that we all can follow and the participants can follow?
Got it. So yeah, as you said, my degree was even crazier than just mechanical engineering. Rasdeep, I know, by the way, guys, Rasdeep was also from same college, so we knew there itself. But I was very much unlike Rajdeep, how he was that time at least, not now, but he was like 9.5 or whatever. Like I was on the other side of the things. But yeah, the reason I'm telling is so that you guys can relate. But anyway, the crazier combination was I not only had a mechanical engineering degree, but I also had an MSc chemistry degree. Very strange, but a college offers such a combination. So a lot of people ask me this, okay, Anudeep, when you have done something like chemistry and mechanical whatnot, why did you shift to UX design, right? So this is one answer I tell. Okay, before I start off with my journey, the thing is, it's not that I shifted to design. I discovered that design is the right thing for me. That is something which I've been doing all my life. And I was kind of force fit into doing something called engineering, right? But yeah, that is like the precursor to the whole story I'll tell. So let me tell you. So what happens is in your childhood, like you do a lot of things, you're passionate about multiple things, you keep studying and all these things, right? So then the decisions you make about where to go ahead with your studies and all are most largely dependent on people around you, people, your parents, and whom your parents know, who, what you see your seniors doing at school and all these things, right? So very similar. I had no other idea other than doing something in medicine or engineering, right? Medicine was like not even an option because I know how much, how good my memory power is. So I was like, no, that's not really happening. So the only option was to do engineering or explore engineering related fields, right? So without any choice, I just did engineering, right? Now, because I did engineering, it doesn't mean that, hey, it defines me as a person, right? So, of course, to get that understanding also, it took a lot of time. That since as I'm doing a discipline doesn't mean that it defines me, or I have to lock myself to that degree and make sure that my career is going forward only in that direction, right? So, what happened in college, slowly, started realizing that, hey, this is not really my core skill. I need to do something better than this. There are things which I could do better. So that's when I tried doing something in education space where I used to conduct multiple workshops, a little related to mechanical, because that is something which I knew that then. But in mechanical, I was doing more of CAD related things, and I was doing some workshops and all. So I had a small startup which I was there in college. Multiple things, tried few things, failed multiple times and all. And but one of the biggest learnings, few of the biggest learnings I had is that, hey, Anudeep, there is more potential to what you exactly thought is this linear path which you have set for yourself, like study, get a job, or do whatever. Then this linear path of whatever you do, there is definitely a lot more potential that you have got. That is on one side. But on the other side, it's not just enough that we have potential, right? It is also something that the other world also to have to give you some opportunities for you to exhibit your potential. But the startup, whatever learnings I had from the startup, told me that the world has enough requirement. I mean, the world is actually looking for a lot of talent. It's just that everyone wants to go in formulas, and that's why we don't see a lot of examples there, right? So as a kid in college, that was one of the biggest realizations I had, right? But then I realized that definitely my experience or whatever is not really enough to actually scale the startup to a next level. So I thought I'll take a next step and learn from multiple startups. Okay. So what happened is that is where which Razi was saying, I did my master's in multiple startups. Well, we'll speak more about that later. But what is like, I had this interesting conversation with the parents. Like, okay, college is getting over. What exactly will you do with your life? Will you go do a master's because everyone is doing so? Will you go abroad? Will you do some MTech, or will you take a job? What is that you're willing to do, right? And preferably do something in outside India or whatever. And I told them one thing, like, hey, the path I'm going to choose, whatever it is, I'm going to make sure I will be a student. Definitely make my next 2 years, whatever masters, which I might have gone and studied abroad or wherever, I'll make sure whatever I'll do, I'll consider it as my masters, and I'll make sure I'm a student no matter what it takes, right? So I had this conversation and I said, and in return, I'll also get paid for it. You need not spend any money for it. We'll go deep into that conversation later, but that's what I thought, and that's when I decided that I'll have to experiment with myself. It's not that there is some field or one thing which has to define what I'm doing. So to really come out of that confusion, what exactly is a fit for me, the one thing I removed is that, hey, engineering is over. I'll have to settle, and I need to like iske baad settle hona chahiye life mein. Like I removed all that conception, and I was like, 2 years I'm giving to experiment with myself. I don't know what next step I'll take, what might happen. I might fail, lose a job or whatever, but I need to figure out what I am and where do I really fit, whom will actually value me is what something I thought I'll do. And one of the best decisions in my life doing that. So then what I did is started working in multiple startups as like in a start, like, I mean, I started with one startup, started working like a startup junkie, trying to figure out, trying to do whatever is available. Like the CEO has some work like involving in that. The operations guy has some work involving in that. The marketing guy has some work involving that. So in that way, I was trying to engage with a lot of people, network with all, not a lot of people, basically there were only like 6 to 7 people, but all of them trying to engage and trying to understand where do I really keep fitting, and also trying to understand how businesses work or how companies work or how people generate value. How does an individual employee or anyone generate some value for the whole company as an organization, right? I was trying to understand all these things when I was doing my first job. So a lot of learnings from that. And there was a point around 6 or 7 months where I thought like, hey, the learning is over here. I think I need to make a next move, trying to figure out what I can do more. So I was more on the creative side. I could understand that I was getting more creative ideas, more, what do you say, motion, what do you say? Like, I don't know what exactly to say, but I knew I was like on the creative side. So I thought I'll explore something on the creative side, try and test it out. So then I moved to the second job after the 6 or 7 months as someone who will do something creative. So in the second job also, I was like trying to do multiple things like making videos, making some graphics, whatever. But one of the greatest learnings I had is whatever you do, you make sure that you see how do you make the business impact for a company. One of the biggest learnings, guys, is we being employees, it has to mean something for a company. When will a company actually care for our growth? A company will care only when you actually deliver some impact for them, right? Deliver some business impact for them. So the biggest learning here is being and not being valuable. I kind of learned that until unless you drive some business impact, you can't deliver value to yourself. As I said, by being and not being valuable, both things happened in the company. There are a few things which I was valuable for and many things which I was not valuable for. And I really took down notes of most of them and tried to understand, oh, these are all the places where I'm losing my value. And that's why I could be in a state where if the company wants to lose me, they won't even think of a second before losing me, right? So that was with the second company. And in this way, 4 companies is what I kept on shifting, trying to figure out multiple things in creative marketing and all these directions. And once I did all this, what I did is at one fine moment in the 4th company where I was working, I somehow thought, and I need to dig myself more into it. Like I dig more into myself and try to understand which field among all the fields which I have tried and tested or understood about multiple people I spoke, what is that which can fit me, right? And let me tell you one thing, guys, like Rajdeep asked, this is something which everyone can follow. So this is what I keep telling everyone. Let's say, before that, let's start with an example. Let's say you're seeing, let's say you're a child. Okay, let's go back to childhood. A lot of people used to play cricket, like maybe someone was playing basketball or whatever, but you had some sport which you were playing in your childhood, right? Now, you naturally like the sport. Let's say, for my example, whenever I used to come back from school, I used to throw my bag, take the bat and run to the ground. Right? I was like very natural, very enthusiastic to go and play cricket. And I really loved cricket. Then I was like, okay, when my childhood was so good that I used to love something so much and nobody used to tell me to go pick a bat or go and play, I used to do all this myself. Why can't a job be that good, right? Why can't something be that good and then I still give some value? Then what I realized is, okay, then I'm good at cricket. So should I become a cricketer? No, because then I was like, okay, what if I was not born in India? I wouldn't even have known cricket, or maybe some other country which doesn't know cricket, right? I would have picked some other game. Maybe if I was in the US, I would have picked on baseball or whatever, right? Then I was like thinking, it's not cricket which is making me a valuable person, or it's not cricket which is actually giving me that interest. There is something fundamental in me which is making me like that sport very much, right? That was one great realization, like great thought I had, that it's because I'm in India. or it's because I'm in this situation that I really like that. So it doesn't mean that I have to become a cricketer to explore what I'm really good at, right? So that's when what I did is I started asking why to multiple things what I did. I loved cricket as a child. Uh, I asked why. Why do I like cricket? Okay, I like bowling. Why do I like bowling? I like strategizing. Why do I like strategizing? I like something very dynamic, and I what in dynamic situations I want to take fast decisions and influence. Right? I like that. Then I asked, why do I like that? No answer. Then I understood. Okay, taking fast decisions and being in dynamic situations is something which I fundamentally like, right? In this way, to multiple things which I liked as a child, I found out what are those fundamental qualities I have. Actually did this exercise, Rajdeep. I wrote down and did this exercise, found all these fundamental qualities which I had, and then I did reverse mapping. What all careers which are there outside over there involve these fundamental qualities? What all can match something which these fundamental qualities can play very well, right? Because if that match happens, then I can go do my job as interested as how cricket was, right? I could,
Right.
and when I did that mapping out of multiple career options there, it was so natural that UX design is what I should do. Of course, with whatever knowledge I had at that time about UX design, it was very new. It was in 2016 or so when I was trying to figure this out. It was very new, but still, design, like the field of UX design or multiple aspects of design was like very natural. I was like, dude, why didn't I even do this right from my childhood? It was so. And believe, guys, once something matches your fundamental qualities, right, it naturally fits in. Like, did anyone have to give you a tutorial about how to play cricket? No, you just played and you understood about the game. You automatically know, right? Of course, maybe if you want to become a cricketer, maybe there are some coaching institutes better. But you had to explain each and everything about cricket. You naturally picked it. What's what happens when you pick something which matches your fundamental quality, right? So that was the moment of change, which I did being in my fourth company. And what I did is, luckily, because it's a startup, because there are less people, there are multiple interactions, it is very easy to go and do something extra and try and give some impact to the business. As I said, from the previous company, I had this learning that I need to impact business, or else they don't care about me. I can't go and tell my company, hey, I want to do something else, will you support me, right? Why will the company support? Only if it means something to them. So what I did is I found those extra things which can help the company instantly, immediately, in a short term, spent extra time on them, and made designs for a website and an app which the company can immediately use. With, obviously, I took my help of multiple mentors, online resources, whatnot, everything tried to do. But I didn't wait until I watch a big course or wait something, whatever. I didn't go in any textbook manner. We'll talk more about that later again. I didn't think like, no, I have to do a course, I have to transform myself, finish a degree or whatever, and then I will start doing UX design. No, I was like, okay, this is something which naturally fits me. Let me go and try. Let me pick a business problem. Okay, they need a website and an app. I don't know anything about this. Let me start jumping and doing it. That's it, man. That is what really taught me that is what really taught me UX design. Doing, like, continuous talking with founders, will this help, will that help, and all. And finally, in 2 months, they had something which they could directly plug in and get business impact, right?
Right.
And then the transition happened. As a UX designer, transition happened. I started applying outside, and I was like, multiple stories over there. And when I started applying outside, I realized that my value is 3 times more than what I am being valued right now to something which I'm doing right now. And I got a job for something 2 times, not really 3 times, because I didn't have any experience. Came back to the same company. I said, like, dude, these guys are giving an offer for 2 times. What will you do? And then 5 minutes, it really happened. I can even get those people talk to you if you want. 5 minutes is how much it took for them to retain me with double the salary after this transition as UX designer. It very well worked, guys. I mean, if you can give the business impact to the company will do whatever to retain you, because like our salaries are really nothing for any company if you actually compare with what impact they can get, right? So that's how I became a UX designer, and then started growing. And today, a startup got acquired by Amazon, and that's why I am in Amazon. Tabzo got acquired. I was heading design at Tabzo, and now with Amazon from the last 2.5 years because of the acquisition. And so
Right. I think that was actually a master's degree. I mean, that was that long answer.
I
But I'm sure,
know.
I think it was a 4-year journey, and I'm sure. I think I think there's no secret to this madness. I think one has to go through it. As you said, I think one thing that the takeaway is that obviously you have to do something which is impacting business, right, and making some sense for the company, and B, do it, right? Just do it, right?
Do it.
Don't just wait that somebody gonna come and teach you, or somebody will. I mean, one day I will wake up and I'll start this website and New Year resolution or something like that, right? I think that makes sense. With that, I know we have been talking about UX, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who have no idea what UX design is. So I would probably take a step back, right? And could you help us understand this field, right? What is UX design? And a lot of times I myself get confused between UI and a UX designer, right?
Sure.
How are these two things different from each other? Can you help us understand this field a little bit more?
Definitely. So, and Rajiv, I mean, you should be prepared for long answers because I don't know where I'll get into. There is some realization I just go deep into it, but I'll try to catch up.
Sure.
But
no, that's
for UX design field, so what's the fun if I just give a textbook definition or an internet definition? There's no fun because there is enough content out there about what UX design is. But let me try and start with something which we all relate. Okay, I'll just take an example. Popular example I give is WhatsApp. Let's say you sent some message in WhatsApp to someone. Without even asking anyone, you know if the message was successfully sent from your phone or not. You know whether the other person has received it, and you also know when the other person has read it. Okay. Nobody's telling you all this. The app is telling you this, right? The app is literally speaking and telling, hey, you know what? The person read the message, right? How? By something which is happening in the app, like just by the change of the color or the number of ticks which are there over there, right? Nobody had to give you a tutorial also about this. You actually understood it yourself that this actually happens, right? Now, if you think of it, most of the times we usually, those who don't completely know about UX design, they might kind of think that, oh, there is someone coding all this in the backend, right? But before all this, who is the genius who kind of figured out that just by the change of the tick color or with the number of ticks, can someone understand that this much information, that the message has been sent or received or read, right? There was someone who had to sit and create this whole model that you will understand. The app itself speaks to you, right? Now, if you understand this example, you will really understand that, yes, it had to take a person or a genius to actually think about all these things. How can people really understand a tick? What if they don't understand a tick? What if it's not a tick? What if they don't understand this blue color? There was someone who had to think about all these things, experiment multiple things, try out, and then release it so that you can understand it so easily, right? That's exactly what a UX designer does, right? Imagine not having UX designer over there. Probably you will go and write down your message was received, your message was read, or whatever your idea is, right? So with this very relatable example, if you can understand, if you can, not only this, now you can expand this to multiple examples around you, multiple experiences you're using around you. WhatsApp, if you see, is an experience, right? You're using that experience to accomplish something, but it's an experience which you are using, right? Now, multiple experiences around you, physical or digital, just as common switch, might have a switch. If you observed, you never really observed, but the switch is actually in the shape that your finger can comfortably fit in. A switch is not so big, it is not so small. Your finger can comfortably sit, right? Who took the decision? Someone had really thought a switch is used by a person to actually interact with his one finger. Therefore, we need to make the switch in that shape. We never really give a thought about it, right? But if you think about it, it is actually someone who made it in such a way that you will operate it with your finger, right? So all these experiences which you are seeing around are being made, or in other words, designed by someone so that you can use them. So you can identify two terms over here. you using them, and two, their experiences. So as we are people who are actually building experiences for those who are using them, we are called user experience designers, right?
Got it.
You got it? Do you get it? So this is user experience design, guys. Okay. Now, whatever other textbook definitions, internet definitions, or whatever else you read, they will all now fall in sense if you understand what I really told you, right? Now, what happens is now you're like, okay, Anudeep, you looks like you explained UX design in such a way that entire world is like everything really fits in this definition, right? So that's when we really have to understand, as I told about businesses, in UX design, maybe you can also make switch. That's also an experience. You can also design a switch, right? But making a switch is not really what really is today called as UX design. Mostly we know about apps, websites, and all, right? Why? Because it's very simple. It's because most people are using these experiences, and out of which businesses can actually sustain, can run, can make money. That's why these are the roles which are available to build these digital experiences, right? That's why most UX designers design for apps or websites or whatever you're seeing, because businesses want these solutions and they can run based on them, right? That's the only thing limiting UX designers to do in these things. Okay, now you understood what UX design is. Next, your question about what's the difference between UI and UX. Now it becomes very simple. UI means user interface. Okay. Now, if there is a switch, let's go to a non-physical example. Switch. Now, thinking about this whole thing, whether it should fit the finger, should it have on, off, or whatever what it should do, if it all comes under the entire experience, the interface itself, where the switch, whatever the switch is there, right? What exact size it should be, or what color should it be, the interface which you're interacting with, designing only that can be called as user interface design. Whatever interface the user is interacting with can be called as user interface design, right? Now, why design such a, like, out of all the things which you will do in entire UX design, out of which UI design is a part of, why do people speak so much about UI design? Simply because it's in the visible layer, meaning it is very much visible. That's what you interact with and what you see and notice. And that's why we usually say the UI of it, right? But, or else, okay, the next part of the question is, what's the difference between them? Okay, now, if you clearly have heard my examples, there is nothing, they're not standing on two different ends so that I can give you differences. UI design is a part of the entire experience which you are building. So it is very simple in that terms. It's just a part of multiple things you do, right? I'll tell you the bigger question. The bigger question is, should I explore UX design or UI design? This is one of the biggest questions people have. And also one part of the question is, as a UX designer, should I not do all those UI and making things beautiful, or I only bother about all those strategy and all, right? This is the actual bigger question when people ask what's the difference between UI and UX, and should I do whatever this or not, right? One more example I'll tell. Let's say you're a doctor, right? A patient comes to you. Now, you, let us say, want to cure that patient. What do? You sit, talk to the patient, understand what are the problems, understand multiple symptoms, use your expertise and figure out what the problem is. Then what you will do? You will do all your research to kind of come up with all those operations or whatever you need to do the person to cure that person. Let us say you do all this research, whatever you wrote the document and you wrote all this report, and you give to the patient and say, okay, man, this is a solution for you. Okay, bye, go home. Will it work? It will not work, because he needs to be cured, right? Someone has to do that. Now, you could choose to make sure all these are followed by someone, or you yourself can do them, right? What generally happens is, if you really want to deliver that experience to the person, that means really want to cure the person, it's not only important that you listen, understand the person and make a solution, but you also need to act and operate on the person and give that result, right? So it is important in UX designer, in current situations, it is very important to do everything end to end. That's what I do and multiple UX designers do today. It's very important to deliver an experience end to end. That's one thing. Now, it also doesn't work if the doctor, as soon as the patient came to you and you are like, Stop. Don't tell me anything. Go to that operation theater, I'll operate you. Will it work? It won't work. You need to really speak to them, understand them. Without even understanding, it will be very scary if you directly send them to the operation theater, right? So not doing any other parts of the UX and simply focusing only UI is also doesn't work because of this very one reason, right? So from here, it's your choice, guys. Where do you want to specialize is your choice, but this kind of gives an idea about the entire ecosystem in a relatable example,
Got
right?
it. Right. I mean, that's an interesting example. I think this is the first time I actually understood what UX design is, honestly. So I'm being very, very honest, right? I mean, I kind of mix two terms quite a bit, and I think that's how I think we business people are kind of like, for us, it's everything is the same, right?
Totally, totally.
Right. So, I mean, just to get onto this, right? So, what does it generally take? Let's say, I mean, obviously there are multiple UI UX designers, right? I mean, how could you be a UX designer who is high performing, or let's say, in other words, high earning UX designer,
Got it, got
right?
it.
So, is there any tricks and traits to it? Are there some secret sauce that you could basically, I mean, let everybody know?
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of gave an idea already, but let me answer. Actually, let me again reframe the question. So it's about, hey, Anudeep, okay, we understood about what UX design is. I want to maybe become a UX designer, whatever you will think of that field. But does it pay me, right? Or it's not just about becoming some UX designer. How can I become a valuable one, right? Highly performing, valuable one, right? So half of it I've already answered through my whatever journey I told, right? Is I'm not doing UX design because it can pay me or because it has some value or because somewhere there is a need, right? It naturally fit what my fundamental qualities are. Okay. But yeah, then people will say, okay, Anudeep, until like Choda yaar, like you are giving all those fundamental answers, like people will say like that. Okay. So I'll give you something. So to become a very so two things. One is efficient and another is highly valued. Okay, high performing and high value. First clue I already gave about value is you need to impact businesses, right? In any job, forget UX design, but in any job, if you know how you can deliver business impact, if you can understand what business you are in, and if you can know how to deliver impact through whatever work you're doing, definitely you'll be highly valuable. That is the first thing. In UX design, uh, there's a lot of correlation between how business performs and what UX designers do. The experiences they build are directly related to how people use their products or services or whatever, and people really generate that revenue, whatever the business wants. So it's totally directly related, right? Now, as a UX designer, you need to make sure that the company can see this value coming from you. Are you making these, are you just like, are you a person simply shifting colors and shifting grids or whatever just because you like it? Or are you really focusing on how good, how better a person can actually, a user can actually use the experience, because of which they really want to use your product, and because of which the revenue can get, like the numbers, whatever, multiple revenue or multiple things which businesses track, DAUs or whatever, that's a different thing. If there is something which you can actually directly influence by whatever design you're making, businesses will value you, right? Example, let's say DAUs, right? Now, let's say you're making some experience for that. Now, let's say you also gather data in terms of what is the screen having, what is the screen not having, or what is the screen having so much that it's not really required. Let's say you understand all this from data which is coming off that screen. You change things based on the data. One, you also change things based on your understanding from your users. You go and talk to people and all these things. It's called UX research. You do all these things. You combine all these insights and make a design for a screen, right? And then go and launch it and test it. People will interact with it in a better manner. If you are able to produce this result, business will value you, right? They will not make you a normal UX designer. Whenever we have whatever technically is called design, like, make some pretty pixels, they will not call you just for that reason. They'll call you whenever they want to actually deliver more value than what they actually planned, right? Or else I'll take AddSkill example, right? Let's say, Raj, if you have a website, AddSkill, right? Whom will you hire? A designer who will make very beautiful, wonderful AddSkill landing page, or a designer who can actually make sure that your website converts, gets more conversions on those people who are coming to your website? Whom will you hire?
Right.
The person who will convert, right? Because ultimately it's not about making those pretty websites, it's about converting. Yes, by design principles, yes, good looking websites can get more users and all these things. These principles are there, but the purpose is not just to because the designer likes it or the business likes it, right? Some people actually, when I give designs and they're like, hey, I don't like it, Anudeep, I'll say, yeah, so what? Because it doesn't matter if you like it or I like it. It has to work for the businesses, right? So this is one main secret, guys. Do not, when you're doing the work, is one main secret is whatever users or customer insights which you bring, whatever data insights you bring, if you can actually go and relate it to how businesses can do, you can definitely be valuable. But you need to, as a UX designer, that's why you are hired, is you should stop doing any ill practices. You should not basically misuse the data or misuse the information or clickbait the users. That is something which you should not really do. That is one more aspect of being a UX designer, is to have empathy to UX, to people, right? To really impact their lives. And because you want to impact their lives, you bring opportunities to business to do business in those things which can impact their lives, right? Not misleading them. Anyway, those are huge topics, but this is one secret. This is a very open secret and very visible secret. Once we understand this, we can really crack it. One thing. Okay. High performing is one more thing, which is very, very simple. Obviously, it is in front of our eyes always, is if we like it, if we like solving problems, if it is very natural for us, we will. So more than telling you how to become more valuable, I'll tell you, avoid yourself, become more high performing. I'll tell you, avoid yourself in putting those situations which you are really, it is not for you. Avoid yourself going there, right? That is one thing I have done. I'm so happy in my life. I'm telling you guys, there should be an experimentation period in your life where you really want to understand what you do not want to do. It will really, really, really help you, right? So if you can match these fundamental qualities to whatever, if you do that exercise, if you really get that fitting, whatever, you will be efficient because you like to do those things. You will generate value and you will be efficient, because like when you're playing cricket, nobody had to tell you to play cricket for an hour. You were continuously playing cricket for an hour, right? The same logic, you will be efficient, right? So I hope you got the secrets, guys. Very much applicable and practical. I'm not selling some philosophy. Apply these things and you will get results.
Yes. I think with that, though, we have kind of overshooted the time, but with that, I'll jump to the last question that I have. And I know you have taken a lot of interviews in the last, especially 3-4 years, right? So what's the advice that you have for people who are, let's say, going to sit for interviews in next couple of months? And it's irrespective of, let's say, whether it's UX design or in general.
Got it. Yeah. So, yeah, that's, I didn't realize the time was flowing. It's already 10:45, but anyway, sorry, 8:45. Yeah. So let me tell you about interviews. Okay, I'll try to make it short again, but understand the situation, guys. Again, very simple example I'll give you is, let us say you want to hire someone in your home to, let us say, do your household work. You want to hire a maid, right? What do you think you will do to hire some person to do something in your house, right? First thing is, you will hire someone who can do all the work which you have and who can actually work safely and not do anything which can bother you in your house, like that you have some requirement. So what will you do? You will go and talk to multiple mates or whatever, and or you'll talk to some people around you, neighbors and all these things, and finally finalize a maid for you. If you observe, if you're in this process, what you're doing is, for whatever requirement you have, you're hiring the person whom you can trust. Most important thing which you can observe here is trust, right? Only whom person you can trust, not just trust in terms of they will do some, like they will not chori yoga houseman, not only that, whom you can trust that they can do the work which you are doing. By asking your neighbors, you are actually getting one more layer of trust that, hey, if they have worked for the neighbors, maybe they can work for us as well, right? In this way, the most important layer is trust. So short advice, but it'll really effectively work, is consider your interviews as trust building processes, which means the company has a job role, they want to do something, right? Now they're looking for someone whom they can trust that they can do all these things and deliver some impact for us. How is that I can, within this short span of the interview time, how is that I can make them trust that I am the person for it, right? How do you do that? So what I used to do, not really now, I'm not looking for any jobs, but what I used to do previously when I used to attend interviews is, with whatever resume I had, right, I had one more sheet, which exactly had every line which they had in their job description. And on the right side, there's a table. Left side, there was lines about the job description. Right side, I had all the things which I did to prove whatever you want. That like literally in an interview, that instantly got me hired, like, because it is so good. That's exactly what they're looking for. And I'm showing practical and whatever examples I have from whatever they are looking for, like direct mapping. And I spoke exactly about that in the interview, right? The idea came from a very simple thought that they really want to trust me that I can do these things. So, okay, this is what you need to do. But what you should not do in interviews is consider them as IIT JEE examinations, or, these kind of mentality we get from right from childhood, right? Examination style, right? That we need to pass this examination and excel in this examination. All those people who are in this examination, only the rankers will get something, right? That is something we need to go out of, because that's not how companies operate. Most companies, at least, I mean, there might be some companies like that, but most companies who can give valuable roles to you, they don't operate like that. They want to find someone who is good for their role. They're not trying to test you and give you marks or give you a certificate. That's not what they're trying to do. So come out of that and adopt this, that it is a trust building exercise. You will definitely do much better in your interviews than anything. Fundamentally, you change this, you'll automatically come up with your own strategies on how to excel in your interviews.
Right. Yeah? Great. I think with that, I have questions. So guys, if in case you have question, please feel free to put it on the chat and I will start taking it up. I have one question right now, Anudeep, for you. Can you talk about the importance of design thinking for software developers?
Okay, awesome. Sure. So again, guys, for those people who are wondering what design thinking is, firstly, small thing about anything. If you hear about design, like design thinking or empathy or some consumer mapping, customer mapping, whatever you hear, first of all, don't worry about the textbook terms which you see. Okay, or in fact, the highest used textbook term is the UX or UI itself. Is the reason we never really understand it is because we use them as textbook terms, UX, UI and all, right? When the term actually enters our head, we get that mental block. Okay, there is something which I need to understand. Right? So that is something which usually happens with all these terms. So if you want to learn UX design or multiple things, whatever you want to do about understand about design, don't give so much importance to these terms. That is one usually thing I tell is forget those jargons first, learn naturally. Then because you can't continuously keep explaining that to others, you use this terminology so that others can also relate. That's why these terms exist. Okay, not to get scared of them. But anyway, coming to design thinking, it's a framework which was adopted popularly, like multiple places. Just tells you the importance of thinking in terms of who is using, okay, no, not even like that. Let me go back to that example. Then I'll come to software developers. But let me tell you, if you understand design thinking, you'll understand this answer to software developers very easily. So what happens to the switch example, right? Or fan, let us say the fan example. Let us say I come to you and say, make a better fan. If you're a person, if I give you that, maybe you'll be like thinking like, I have to make a better fan. Should I keep longer wings? Should I keep a light to the fan? Should I have a white color fan? You're thinking like this, right? Now, design thinking essentially says, when I ask you to make a better fan, don't start with the fan. Start with the person who is using the fan. Understand if a person is sleeping under the fan, how are they using? Like they are like sleeping or sitting, or it's a summer, winter, or for multiple things which the people have. If you understand all those things which they're doing with the fan, you can obviously make a better fan. Maybe someone would have said like, if I sleep in the corner of the room, I'm not getting air. That's why you see a fan which are advertising that this fan gets wider coverage or whatever, right? This is what essentially design thinking says. I'll get into the design thinking part. This is what design thinking says is, don't start with the product or whatever, start with the user. So that's why the design thinking starts with the first step called empathy. Empathy means standing in the shoes of the other person, of the user, right? So it has empathy, then has empathy, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Yeah. So it says understand about the user first, and then in the define, it says that find out what problems they actually have. Then ideate, then think of those things like solutions, like should I make a fan bigger one, or should I have other wings, or I have a different color. Ideate. Prototype, it's not just about getting ideas, but it's also about making some models, right? Or one more thing, a prototype, one very important thing to understand is, which will also, I'll relate everything to software developers here, is when you prototype, there are two things. One, don't simply get your ideas and think it's over. That is one learning. Second learning, because you got an idea, don't go full swing, spend all your money, time, everything, and build something on that. No, make a small part. A prototype is basically a small version of one, right? Build something which can easily be dismissed. And the last step is test. Go back to your users whom you understood in the initial step when you empathized. Go back and try and test it with them. Is the solution you came up with, is it working or not? Right? Get feedback and again ideate and then build a better product. That is what design thinking essentially is saying, right? In this way, you'll not waste a lot of money, you'll not waste a lot of time and resources with all the biases which you carry about what people will automatically use and buy, right? This is design thinking. Now, I hope you understand that. Now it comes to software developers, right? What happens is, in a company, okay, multiple angles to it, but I assume that this question is, while I'm working as a software developer in a company, how can I be a design thinker, right? Now, for whatever solutions you are building or writing code or whatever you are doing as a software developer, right? You need to ask these questions. Am I solving this problem for a user? Is it a user backward problem? Or is it coming from the business saying that we do want to do all these things, but there is nothing supporting understanding the users? Am I solving this kind of a problem or that kind of a problem, right? If you ask this question about all these 5 stages which are happening, if you ask these questions, whatever you are developing for will actually get that impact which the business is actually looking for, right? What the whole experiment which the business wants to do, it will work very, very well if it has all these components of design thinking as a software developer. That is one thing. Second thing, as from design thinking which software developers can take is, are you taking this, whatever this agile or lean or whatever terms you're thinking, there's all related to this thinking only, design thinking only, is that, am I building something which is like final, am I spending so much time and money and building something for getting the perfect solution? Or am I working in an iterative manner? Am I building something so that I can immediately go and test it and get those results and improve whatever I'm trying to build, right? So startups work like this. A lot of startups work like this. Maybe even like whatever Rajdeep is having right now, or multiple people having right now, they actually work like this. That's why you have these terms like sprints, hackathons, or these things, right? Where the idea itself is to go and sorry, I got your comment. But anyway, the idea itself is to go and uh, test it immediately. All these hackathon sprints and all is to not stick with writing all the code, but building so much things. But it's the idea is to go back to your customers or users, come back, get those results, and build something better, right? So I hope all these points will help you as a software developer, Akanksha, and everyone who has this question. Yeah, I mean, Amazon, it just not is not just about Amazon. Also, like any company. Like if you have to read this book called Lean Startup by Eric Ries. This was one of very transformative books for me when I read some 5 years ago. So that, like, more than reading about design thing or anything, there are so many examples which Eric speaks in that book, which will relate so much with us in terms of why do we have to go lean, and why is that product development process, or whatever he calls the legacy process, did not really work, and why companies shifted. So all companies are doing this by default because this is what really works, right?
Right.
So
Great. Any other questions, folks? I know we have kind of done with an hour. If there are any other question, we'll just wait for another minute before we
sure,
close the chat.
you can ask any kind of questions, guys. I mean, which is something which is very relatable to you, right? I mean, how do you apply something from, a lot of times we are like, all this is fine, Anudeep, but I don't know what exactly to do now, today, right now, in my situation. Like, you could maybe tell your situation and ask something like that, and we can figure out something, right? So, but I hope this recording will be available to them, so they can always
Yes.
go back and find the relevant parts.
Yes, that's the idea.
You also give feedback on what, or you could also tell about things which I could talk in general and maybe get back to you guys, or things like that. I keep making content, so.
Definitely. Yes. Do follow Anudeep on his LinkedIn. He keep posting content there. Right. So there are a lot of techniques that he has kind of defined based on the process that he has gone through. I think that would probably help you guys as well. So do follow Anudeep on LinkedIn. Go back and check. Right. That would help. Thanks, Anudeep. I don't think we have any more questions. Thanks for taking time. I know I've bugged you enough for almost a couple of weeks just to make sure to make this happen. I just wanted to make sure that all the participants here get the exposure to UX design as well. We have,
Let's
in the
get their
past, we have
comments,
gone
man.
through.
Guys, how was the session? How was the session? If you liked it, say something, guys. Come on. You loved it? Say hell yeah. Come on. Let's get some comments. Hell yeah in the chat. Come on. Awesome, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Awesome, man. So yeah,
Great.
that's the split, man.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thanks for joining in. Thanks, Anudeep. Thanks for your time. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you very,
Have a
very
wonderful
much,
year ahead. Thank
Rajdeep
you.
and
Bye-bye.
everyone, for this opportunity. I really love talking to people, and whatever, guys. I mean, if you feel free to reach out, whatever. I mean, keep ask questions or whatever. I genuinely like doing this. It's not about anything like there is no bigger happiness than seeing someone transform and have their like a student's happiness is like a student having transformation is the biggest happiness anyone can get. I'm telling you. So
Yes. I've
yeah,
been
guys.
doing it for 5 years, Anudeep.
Yeah.
I've done it in K-12, now in this segment.
Yeah.
That happiness when that person gets that job, right? That happiness on their face. I mean, I just
Yeah.
live for that, right? I mean, when you get
Correct.
that call and when the person tells you that, hey, I cracked it, I mean, you just feel like somebody in your
Yes.
family got a job, right?
Correct.
So yeah,
Totally.
that's the idea behind this entire thing. As I said, I think it's learn, earn, and grow, right? These are the three fundamentals, right? You have to learn. Obviously, you will earn. I mean, if you are on the right track, as you said.
Sure.
Great. Thanks, Anudeep. Thanks for your time
Awesome.
again. Yep. Good night. Bye-bye. Take care.
Right, guys.